Okay, so what are your questions about the assignment? So bring up the guidelines. So the guidelines. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, so yeah, the cover page. Um, so just have all of that. The core proposition, the client name, the proposal name, your name and date. What was your question again about it?
Yeah, so this headline, the client proposal name is like,
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
yeah, client name will be like,
uh, so it would just be your company, like with be your e-commerce website name. Yeah. 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 Like you can look at what's the product that you're selling. You can look at like a good place to figure out a product that could work is like Google Trends. You go to Google Trends and then share my screen here. So you go to Google Trends and then just certain things that are trending are these. So searches. So you can look up trends on here, and like whatever like is trending in the search over like whatever's trending in search, you could potentially. Oh, you can do it internationally. But you can change it to. Yeah. So like Google Trends, yeah, exactly. So the Google Trends for here, like Toronto Blue Jays, like if you're gonna sell, like Toronto Blue Jays gear, that could be a big seller based on the trends so far. And then you could go to. So yeah, this website is good for trends, but also there are other websites for that. There's another one. It's product. There's a product website for trends. I think it's Overlow. Yeah. So you can look up like trending products to sell. So like they show Google Trends. The Google Trends provides this data here. So hair removal is pretty popular. Head scarves are pretty popular in Google Trends. Like this data is right from Google Trends. Head scarves would be a good thing to sell. Detangling hair brushes, hair wigs. Like if you look up hair wigs on Google Trends, steadily increasing over time. Barrettes, steadily increasing over time. So this is all from Google data, Google Trends there. Straight leg jeans, increasing over time. Athleisure, increasing over time. Shapewear, increasing over time. Fake eyelashes, increasing over time. Nail extensions. Men's watches is a big one. Men's shoes. Temporary tattoos. Stuffed toys. Baby dolls. Sweeping machine. There's a whole bunch on here. Yeah, there's a lot of good products that you could sell on an e-commerce store. I'll just put it in the chat here for everybody. But yeah, there's a lot of good ideas for that. Yeah, like you could sell. Yeah. You can change it based on like market research, like looking at products. No. Yeah, because like there's a lot of products that wouldn't sell anyway, right? So if you want to change it to anything that like feel free. Yeah. What are your other questions for the proposal? You could as a brand, like maybe to build your brand. Like you can probably think of something to build your brand, like a sentence to build your brand, something that people would, that would show what your values are. Like a catchy slogan could be your tagline. Yeah, like if you can think of something catchy. Usually it's a good way to build a brand with a catchy slogan. Yeah. Post strategy. So bring that up. So So like what you want to do for this, it would be like website / app. So the platform that you're going to use. So like if you want to use Shopify, Etsy, Wix, Square, any of those, like, or any, yeah. And then like chosen activities, like what you're trying to like do with it exactly, like what, yeah. And then social media, like Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, all those ones. And then like what you're doing with it. And then email, like if it's Google, Hotmail, or if it's like if it's through Wix, yeah, like if you're doing it through Wix and what you're going to do with that. Like if you're going to send out an email newsletter, you could do email marketing. That could be something that you do. Social media, you could use social media ads. Offline media could be billboards, could be business cards, it could be flyers, like going door to door. So you could be using Vistaprint for that. So that could be something like Vistaprint or any sort of place that makes that sort of thing. Or Thompson makes a lot of billboards. Pattinson. Yeah, Pattinson makes a lot of billboards. It could be Pattinson for billboards. You could do TV commercials, etc. Yeah. So anything, like any other stuff here for, okay, great. Good questions. So anyone else who has questions in the chat, just feel free to ask them and I'll answer. So we're going to go through some stuff today. So my first question is, what do you think would be required for an e-commerce implementation? So I'll ask so Alman here and anybody online. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, like using Oberlo to figure out what products will sell. That's a good point. Yeah. And then determining what products to sell through using Google Trends in that Oberlo article, and then making a store and just promoting it through blogs and podcasts and SEO, just making your website search engine optimized. So information technology projects, so it costs a lot of money. Like the whole key is to have a good team. Having a team that can, like, somebody does the IT, somebody does the sales, somebody does the product development, somebody does the people management. Like having a good team is key to this, because there's a business owner I was talking to, and she's created a very successful food business, and her key to it is having a good team, because because it's good to specialize. People can specialize in certain things. Like some people are good at sales, some people are good at product development, some people are good at IT, some people are good at building things, right? Some people are good at people management. So it's good to have a good team because you're not going to be good at everything. So having a good team is key. So with commerce, it's key to increase your market sales. So that's what you want. You want to open new markets, so you want to access customers that are not with you right now, and then serve existing customers better. That's very important because if you start to lose customers, then your product is not that great. And keeping an existing customer is a lot cheaper than getting a new customer because you don't have to pay for marketing. You just have to keep up with product quality. Then also finding new vendors to make it cheaper and improve quality of the product, and coordinating more efficiently with the existing vendors. That's important to cut costs, and then recruit employees more effectively. That's important because you build a better team. So this is important. This is very important for being successful. And then it's pretty easy to measure increased sales or reduced costs because they're on accounting statements. However, the problem is with increased customer satisfaction, that's hard to measure. The best way to measure it is through surveys. So you need to have a survey to figure out how customers are feeling, because if you don't have a survey, you can't measure it. And that's important because you can figure out if they're how to improve your product from what the customers say. So I'd recommend creating a Google form for that. So yeah, always try to look at customer feedback because you want to keep your customers happy. So these are types of analytics that you can look at. Like for supply chain managers, they look at supply cost reductions, quality improvements, or faster deliveries of ordered goods. Like you can measure all of that. So supply cost reductions through financial statements, quality improvements through customer satisfaction, faster deliveries through just tracking shipments. And yeah, tracking all of this is very important. You can figure out how you're doing. So it's important to track all of this data, and tracking it through financial statements, through Google Analytics, through surveys. So it's important to track all this data and figure out what you can improve on. So tracking all of this data, I highly recommend it. And then figure out how you improve. So then the building brands, if you want to build a brand, it's important to track surveys and opinion polls and figure out how the customers are doing and figure out what they want to be changed. And then also tracking sales volume and conversion. That's important to figure out how well your marketing is going. So ensure that you figure out if your marketing tactics are leading to more sales. If they aren't, then you're going to have to change your marketing tactics. And then improving customer service through customer satisfaction surveys, it's very important. And then looking at quantity of customer complaints, you got to look at them. There might check what their main complaint is and try to fix it. And then yeah, so always check the analytics and monitor them constantly. So somebody could be focused on that that could be somebody on your team. They're focused primarily on the analytics. So then here, it's important to compare benefits to costs. So you want to have, it's important to compare them together because so benefits minus costs is net benefit. So you want to have the highest net benefit possible. So like that's very important. It doesn't matter how many benefits you have if your costs are really high. So you want to have So you want to have as high, like, net benefits are all that matters at the end of the day. Like it's all about the difference between benefits and costs. Like if you have a lot of benefits, like if your benefits are like $50 million, let's say, but your costs are 100 million, it doesn't matter how high it doesn't matter that you're making 50 million in benefits. You're at a loss of 50 million. So like it's important to have, so doing benefits minus costs, that's everything. That's net benefit. So always look at net benefit. Yeah. So always ensure that your net benefit is high. It doesn't matter what your benefits and costs are if your net benefit is nothing or negative. So always look at that. And then so in this case with technology, so in technology the hardware and the software cost about 20% combined, and 80% it goes to salaries and wages. So the cost of paying people is a lot more than the technology costs. So it's similar to government. Government works that way too. Like the Canadian government budget, I think it's over $1 trillion per year, and about 80% of it goes to salaries, and then the other 20% goes to like the buildings and all the equipment, but 80% goes to salaries. So most of the costs go towards your people. So you want to make sure that you're hiring, you're not wasting your money on people. Like you need to make sure that they're providing value. So having people, getting rid of the people that don't provide value is very important. Yeah, like having people that, like having a team that's people are specializing in certain things. Like let's say somebody's focused on technology, somebody's focused on sales, somebody's focused on product development, somebody's focused on people management, like having those types of people and not having any waste, like not having somebody that's like, just sitting there, not doing anything and just being on social media all day. It's important to have like all these people doing something that's of value, because 80% is going towards their salaries. So you don't want to be wasting your money. So then total cost of ownership, it encompasses the hardware costs, software costs, about 20%. Outsourced design work, employee salaries and benefits, site maintenance, like this is 80%. So all that together is technology costs. And you want to minimize that as much as possible. So like the key is just to hire people that provide value and get rid of the people that are not providing value. And also we gotta look at opportunity costs, because I talked about this in the last section. A good example of this. So opportunity cost is you're doing something right now while you could be doing something else, and you're missing out on that money you're making doing something else. So I'll ask the class, what type of example can you think of that you would be, like if you're doing something, you're missing out on something else, on the income you make doing something else? Like what type of scenario can you think of with that? Okay, so my example would be like you could be working a minimum wage job right now, right? Like let's say you're working $15 an hour at some place. There's a lot of jobs around here and everywhere that it's $15 an hour, right? you could be working a job that's $15 an hour, like working 40 hours a week doing that, or you could be working somewhere else where you're making like you could be a real estate agent, a mortgage agent, or anything like that, and you could be making like hundreds of dollars per hour instead. So you're putting in, let's say 40 hours a week, doing that, instead of doing the 40 hours a week minimum wage, you're making way more money. So the opportunity cost of doing a minimum wage job is the lost income from like being a real estate agent or mortgage agent, et cetera. So this is a very important thing. This is something that they should teach more in schools, because a lot of people work minimum wage jobs and they think that's the only way to make income, but they're missing out on the opportunity costs of working a job where they're making a lot of money and they're spending the same time at it, right? This is something that I think this is a very important concept, because you could be spending your time on a higher value, like making a lot more money, right? Like with your parents, like they're making, like they must be doing very well with their gas station empire, right? While somebody could be like they're putting in this, like they're probably putting in as much time as somebody else that is making like $15 an hour, right? And like they could be putting in more, but they're making a lot more money, and like they understand that opportunity costs are a big thing, right? So that's something I want to plug home with this class, that you could be spending the same amount of time doing a minimum wage job as a job that makes like hundreds of thousands of dollars per hour. So yeah, I just want to plug that home. It's hard to get those jobs, but but it's worth it once you get them, because you'll like if it's your own business or whatever, you put in the same amount of time and make a lot more. So I just want to plug that home here, because it's a very important concept. Yeah. So here, this is the breakdown. So the website, like 10% computer hardware, 10% software, 80% labor. Yeah, this is usually the ratio. It's about like 20-80. So like 20%, like 20% the equipment, 80% labor. That's usually the case in almost everything, except for like very high capital businesses like oil. It's probably not what I would say. With oil, it's probably closer to 50-50, but with like a lot of other things that don't require a lot of capital, machinery, it's like 20-80. So the labor is a lot more than the capital. Yeah. So, and then they show that as the store gets bigger, the cost of operations get higher. So like it costs less than $1,000 to create a small e-commerce store, but it just gets larger. Like as it gets bigger, the costs go up. Just go up like not crazy. Like when it goes to like about a mid-size one, it's between 3,000 and 1 million. And then the small online store, it's about $400 to $7,000. And then mid-size, 10,000 to 1 million, large 1 million to 5 million, and then much larger, 5 million plus. So yeah, these are some of the statistics that you can look at for, like, you need to have a lot of bandwidth and a lot of operating systems and databases supported when your shop gets bigger. You need to have a lot of disk space, a lot of email accounts allowed for users and employees. And then Yeah. So then also has to be very reliable, very quick, very easy to scale. So a lot of people can, like, it can grow, right? And it needs to have a lot of security. So firewalls, then a lot of like a lot of firewalls, network security, etc. And then yeah, so it needs to have all that as it gets bigger. So that's very important to have. And then so if you have an investor for your e-commerce store or internet company, it's important. So it's good to have a lot of capital. Like they'll give you a lot of money to build the store, but the problem is you'll have investors, and like they'll have a lot of control over what you do, which is problematic if you want to, like, be your own boss. Also, yeah, a lot of your profits will go to them, and then they'll pressure you to grow rapidly. So it's good to stay, like, it's good not to take investment in terms of you don't have pressure to grow rapidly, and you can be more creative and you can learn from mistakes. Then, so that's, but you'll probably stay small. If you don't take investment from other people, you'll probably stay small. But that's good for some people, right? Like they just don't want to answer to anybody, so that's good for them. But as you grow, if you take more investment, then you're gonna kind of start to be an employee. Once they own more than half of it, like you're basically their employee. Even though you own like 49% or less, you become their employee because they own more than half. So, so yeah, it's like if you want to take investment, then you kind of got to answer to the investors. So yeah, return on investment. It determines the amount of income return provided by a specific current expenditure investment. So it's a good measure on investments. Like if you're going to invest in stocks, you want to have a company that has a higher return on investment. So for this, Coca-Cola is one of the highest return on investment companies in history. So like Coca-Cola, that was Warren Buffett's favorite investment because of the return on investment. Warren Buffett's company, Berkshire Hathaway, has a very high return on investment. Then, so Tesla would as well. So Apple too, Microsoft. But yeah, the higher the return on investment, it's probably a good investment. But you have to look at other factors like liabilities, debt, assets, like the industry the company's in. Like railroads are a good industry. Banks have a high return on investment. So like if you invest in any BMO, TD, RBC, Scotiabank, like all of them have a high return on investment. So they're good investments. Yeah. So yeah, the whole goal to creating a business is having a high return on investment. And then, so outsourcing is a good way to reduce costs on something. So like a lot of companies use outsourcing. Like Apple uses outsourcing. They outsource their iPhone production to Foxconn in China. It's very low cost to do outsourcing. However, there's a lot of human rights concerns with that because a lot of companies they employ sweatshop labor, child labor, pay workers very low, and there's a lot of concerns with that. Like Foxconn, I was talking in the last class, they've had a lot of issues in the past. Like their employees, they're so concerned about employees' well-being that they're actually not concerned with employee well-being. Let's be fair, because the conditions are terrible. But I'll rephrase it: the employees, they deal with depression on a constant basis because of the working conditions. That they installed nets to go. Christine, exactly. You got it. while you're walking. They put nets, so because people jump off the balconies. They put nets, like in the oval, they put nets, so the people just jump in the nets because they're jumping off of the staircases. Yeah, it's terrible. Like these like Apple outsources their iPhone production to Foxconn, and the workers are just so they hate working there so much that they have to put those things up. Yeah, Amazon, terrible conditions. Yeah. Yeah, it's the outsourcing conditions in underdeveloped and developing countries like India, China, others like Bangladesh. It's pretty bad. Like I know that the what's called Joe. Yeah, Joe. Yeah, Joe out of Loblaw. Loblaw has this brand called Joe. They were like, yeah, a lot of this kind of stuff happens, and this is like we get cheap products. Yeah, we get cheap products from them, but it's like there's a real cost to it. The human rights abuses that happen are just insane. Yeah. It's pretty like we can get products from Dollarama, but there's a real cost in terms of human rights abuses. Yeah. It's I don't know what the solution is. Like with the easy solution is to make it to get rid of all those conditions, but like how do they do it, right? Like how are they going to do it? Like with like how are we going to get companies to do it, right? Because they're like without the government forcing them to do it, they just don't voluntarily improve conditions. So solving this is going to be and I don't know how they're going to solve it. Yeah, because they want cheap products, but how do you make cheap products without yeah, exactly. It's crazy. Yeah, agreed. Yeah. Does anyone have any ideas on how to solve this crisis with the outsourcing? Yeah, it's probably a good. Yeah, agreed. Yeah, capping profits may be a good solution to that. Because like someone like Jeff Bezos, he's worth over $200 billion, right? And why does he how much money does he need? Like it's crazy. 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 Yeah. 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 It seems like corporate profit taxes on corporate profits, like increasing those. Yeah. Like you said, like that would probably what you said with I think increasing corporate profits would be a good idea for that.
But for example, like most of them, this activation or you outsourcing or stuff, they don't have to. Yeah, I mean, they're not allowed to.
Yeah.
And then they've got or even each of the penalty amount is way
Yeah, it's not binding. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the fines are not big enough. Yeah. 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 Agreed. Yeah. 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 Agreed. Yeah. Yeah, good input, everybody. That's great. So yeah, great ideas. Like yeah, there's a lot of issues with like there's a lot of hidden costs to outsourcing, a lot, and we can see a cheap product, a very cheap product. Like we could get like a product on AliExpress for a cent, like a cent per unit. But there's a lot of hidden costs to it in terms of outsourcing, like child labor, sweatshop labor, and very low wages paid to the employees. So yeah, there's a lot of human rights abuses for that cent product that we're buying. So yeah, it's solving that problem. Like you probably become the next Bernie Sanders if you can solve that problem. Yeah. Yeah. So with so creating a good internal team is very important. So you can have people specializing in, like, let's say one person specializes in internet and technology, the other one specializes in creative thinking, and like one could be team leader, like manage the people. One could be salesman. Then why did she leave? Oh, did she? Oh, she must have walked out like. Oh wow. She's like I was like it's like she it's like she disappeared. I was like I like looked down for maybe like 5 seconds. Like it was amazing. Wow, that was great. I was like looking down for like 5 seconds, like thinking, and then she's just like that was amazing. Wow. Yeah, that was wow. That's great. Yeah. So it's like Seinfeld. There was this episode called Seidler, and he no one like heard him coming in. He was just behind people. Like he just like walked behind somebody. He's like, "Where'd you come from?" And it's like, "What you mean?" It was like that. Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. So yeah, you could outsource like with your website or technology. You could outsource certain things. Like you could outsource making the site to somebody else, and then your company can maintain it. Like you could do that. Like when I'm talking about this outsourcing, this could be done by companies inside our country. So we wouldn't have to worry about the human rights abuses. So like there's a lot of IT companies that do this sort of thing. Like they make websites inside in Canada. Also, a company could like create the website and operate the system real stable, and then like the maintenance could be outsourced to that company too. And then there could be somebody in our company that focuses on new technologies. So that could be something that is done. And then partial outsourcing, so the email handling could be outsourced, the electronic payment system could be outsourced, the web hosting could be outsourced, while the while the company could be maintaining the website, and then, yeah. So, incubators. Incubators, is anyone familiar with Communitech here? Have you heard of Communitech? Communitech? You haven't? Okay. So, yeah, incubators, there's this place called Communitech. It's just down the road on Charles Street. So you go Charles Street and you just keep going. You just keep going down towards Waterloo, and it's a great spot. It provides offices, accounting and legal assistance, computers, and internet connections. It's like a monthly cost. They provide seed money, management advice, and marketing assistance. Some receive ownership interest in companies, and then for them to make money, they make it off of selling their share to another company, or if the company gets listed on the stock exchange. The benefit of Communitech is that Communitech is, you get access to networking through Communitech, which you can network with other companies and other people at Communitech, which is beneficial. You can find customers and companies to work with. So that's beneficial. I think that's the most important benefit of Communitech. You have, like, you're right next to every company, because there's like hundreds of companies operating in there. So you have access to their knowledge, and like they could be potential customers of yours, and you can become friends with them, and like it's a good social environment there. But yeah, that's the best part of it. It's a very nice place there. I highly recommend Communitech. Yeah, I'll show a video on it. I'm just gonna bring that up. Bless you. So yeah, I'll share my screen here. We'll watch this video.
Grammarly helps you work more efficiently, which makes accomplishing your work goals easier.
This is Communitech. Well, this is just a sign of Communitech. This is actually Communitech. But this is a video about the culture of Communitech, which is tricky. Company culture is defined as the beliefs and behaviors that determine how a company's employees interact and handle outside business transactions. Yikes, that's wordy. So how do you define culture at a place like Communitech? This Communitech. All in all, it's tricky to describe. Culture is more of an implied thing and is something that develops over time with the help of lots of people. So with Communitech, let's start there, with the people. Like these people, and this guy, and this person, and her as well. Communitech is made up of some fantastic people, each one bringing something new and different to the table. There are fun people, smile people, coffee people, royal people, bike people, hugging people, non-hugging people, talking people, lots of talking people. And let me tell you, these people do a lot. These people work, and these people work hard. Everyone at Communitech is dedicated to helping tech companies start, grow, and succeed. These companies can be startups, scale-ups, or enterprise companies. But no matter the shape or size, we're there to help. What's it like? It's big picture thinking. It's wearing a lot of hats, and it's working together as a team. A big team. And this involves constantly creating and sharing ideas, telling stories, collaborating, giving updates, feedback, and high fives. And they get to do all this in a pretty cool place called the Tannery. The Tannery used to be just that, a tannery, so the building is really cool. But for the most part, people come here because they're after something new. They're after something more than just a 9-to-5. It's fun, it's fast-paced, and it's never the same. People come here because they want to get involved, help the community, and be social. Which is another thing, Communitech is a social place. There is talking, laughing, slacking, snapping, dancing, shaking, sharing, and sliding. Social stuff is everywhere, and not just for the people that work here. It's a gathering point for people in the community. There are small events, big events, networking, and celebrations, which there tend to be a lot of. And all that brings us back to culture. Defining culture at Communitech is hard. I think it's just something you need to see, something you need to smell, something you need to feel. Defining it's one thing, but experiencing it brings on a whole new meaning. So visit the hub today and see for yourself.
So Communitech, it's just right down Charles Street. It's closer to Waterloo. Like if you just go down Charles Street towards Waterloo, it's there. It's a great spot for networking for your business, and they give you a lot of resources, a lot of access to investment, etc. So I highly recommend it if you're interested in like networking. There's a lot of free networking events there too, and you can take the train down. The LRT goes down there, and it's probably about a 30 minute walk from here, but you can take the LRT down there because there's a stop right next to Communitech for the LRT or the bus. I was looking for future networking events there. There's only a few coming up, but I'll send that to the class. So then, so like you'll have, like if you want to go there, it's a good spot to go to for entrepreneurs. And then also they hire there too for they have job postings on Communitech's website. So you could be part of a new company, and you could be paid with stock too, like a combination of stock and cash. So like you could get, if the company goes public or if it gets acquired, then you get a lot of benefit from that, and then cash to support yourself while it's growing. So an e-commerce web company, you can, having a CIO, a chief information officer, that's important for the technology side, and having a business manager, that's important for growing the business. So having a person specialized in technology, having a person specialized in business, that's good. Having a project manager, project portfolio manager, account manager, like having people specialized in those areas is very beneficial. You could probably merge all of this here: application specialists, web programmers, web graphics designer under one roof, and they could specialize in all of these areas. So, or if your company's getting bigger, you could get one person specialized in each of these areas. So that would be beneficial. So they can become very effective in those areas. And then having a content creator, so having somebody that writes blog posts, articles, maybe makes videos, etc., as like a marketing channel and building a brand. And then having content managers or content editors, so that could be under content creator and content manager could be the same. And then social networking administrator, this could be under one roof at the start, and then you could maybe hire more people and then have each person specialize in each of these. So having a social networking administrator, so building a social media presence. So that's very important to advertise. So you can do that. And then an online marketing manager, so like focusing on how to build a brand, how to increase market share. And so they could do email marketing through a newsletter. They create a newsletter that goes weekly or daily. I'd recommend probably weekly because it can clog up in an inbox. And then customer service personnel are very important. That's important to make sure that the customer can ask all questions that they have. A call center would be the same as the customer service. Then systems administrator, so like determining, like kind of keeping the website going. And then having somebody running the database, like kind of processing of transactions, entering orders, shipping, logistics. Yeah, that's very important. So yeah, I extended the due date for the proposal until this Sunday. So yeah, any questions you have about that, I can answer them. And yeah, so that is. So I'll bring up the next thing. I wanted to show. I'm going to show this video on. So Fiverr is a really good website to, if you're going to do a service type business, like if you're a tutor, if you provide web development services, if you provide any service over the web, Fiverr is a great website for it. And do you use them? Yeah. I'm a freelancer, like you provide services. Oh, great. What's your experience with it so far with Fiverr and Upwork? Good. So far it's good because when I was back home, I started providing services. I was brand management and Amazon. Yeah. So I did the Fiverr, Upwork, and not business class. So if like you want to work with I would say someone starting up with business. Oh, great. Which one do you prefer, Fiverr or Upwork? If you want to work with the proper agency, the brand, but if you just want to work. Oh, great. Excellent. But for someone who is starting out Fiverr, I would say it's like must take a solid profile on Fiverr to move on. Oh, great. Okay, good to know. Yeah. I've used Upwork, like I've used both, but Upwork I've had more success on it so far, but I hear Fiverr, like this video goes through, like they prefer Fiverr, but yeah, I think it's, like you said, it's individual versus like the big company. Yeah. If it's e-commerce at this point, I would prefer Upwork. Okay. But like 2-3 years back, I would prefer Fiverr. Okay, good to know.
Today, I want to have a pretty candid discussion about why Fiverr is a much better option than Upwork. In my opinion, Fiverr is a much better marketplace than Upwork for both buyers and freelancers looking to sell their services online. And in this video, I'm going to explain to you why and why you should care if you're a Fiverr seller. Spoiler alert, if you're a seller and you choose Upwork over Fiverr, it might mean that you're losing money.